Hi, and welcome to Rethinking Waste for Small Businesses After COVID-19. My name is Katie Combs, and I'm the Adult Programming Librarian for the Fort Worth Public Library. Our speaker today is Brittany Rosenberg, who serves as the Materials Management Planner for the City of Fort Worth Code Compliance Department. She has been working with Code for the past year and has been with the city for 2 years. Brittany is a lifetime avid composter, coordinator of the Fort Worth Master Composter Program, and serves in the Tarrant County Food Policy Council's Food Recovery Working Group. We're also today by Michelle Teef. Michelle has grown up in the waste management industry. She graduated with the University of North Texas with a BA in biology and is now a material management planner for the city of Fort Worth. She is passionate about a circular economy and reducing waste. We're also joined by David Simmons. David has worked more than 10 years in the solid waste business, from owning a small garbage collection company to managing a municipal solid waste department to now being part of the City of Fort Worth's material management team. David loves to help businesses reduce waste, create sustainable programs, and save money. Again, if you would like to post any questions, feel free to post them in our chat below, or you can post in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And just a reminder, be sure to select to send your chat to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your question. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Brittany and David and Michelle, and I will go ahead and mute myself, but I will be in the chat to help out with any technical difficulties that you may have.
Thank you, Katie, for that wonderful introduction. Hi, David. Hi, Michelle. Hello, all.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, everybody.
Great to see you all here today. Welcome to Rethinking Waste for Small Businesses After COVID-19. Couple of housekeeping notes. Number one, you're going to notice there's a link at the bottom of the page. This will be on the bottom of every single page. It is the main web page for all of Fort Worth city information to do with COVID-19. It has small business resources, resident resources, all kinds of really great information, and we'll take a look at it later, but I wanted to give you guys that heads up at the beginning. Also of note, we're going to kind of divide this into 3 sections today. So after each of us speak, there'll be a brief period for questions. So if you type it in and we haven't gotten to you in a couple minutes, don't worry, we will get to you. And thank you for being here. Get started. We're going to be talking about lots of different types of waste today, but kind of setting the stage with 3 different concepts. One of them is the Japanese lean process concept that Toyota uses actually in their manufacturing. And that sounds like that doesn't have much to do with small business because that's a very large business and it's associated with manufacturing and industry, but these principles apply across the board. And you may already be familiar with these concepts. The main one we're going to be talking about today is muda, which is, in essence, waste. Waste in its most basic form, meaning that waste is waste. Wasted opportunity, time, resources, infrastructure, and essentially wasted money. Also going to be talking a bit about the circular economy, and that is again, the basic concept that if there is anything wasted, if there's anything going into the landfill and that was its end of life, if it was created to go into a landfill, that means that that's a resource that has now been taken out of the supply chain, even though time and effort were put into creating it. Also, the Pareto principle of 2080, which is just the basic concept that a lot of people in nonprofits especially will feel this, but about 20% of the effort that you put in creates about 80% of the results. And the remaining 80% of effort is often spent trying to scoop up those last 20% of results. So setting the stage. Also, we'll take a look at it at the end, but the Ellen MacArthur Foundation just recently put out a really great webinar on YouTube on the circular economy. So if you want to explore that concept more, there's a link for you there. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Michelle. She is on our team, Material Management Planner, as well as David and I. And take it away, Michelle.
Thank you, Brittany. That was an awesome intro to our webinar today. I'm just going to be talking about waste reduction practices and how you can use those practices in your own small business. So we'll start with just the basic general things that you can do. So obviously the biggest thing is to try to reduce the amount of printed material that your business produces. If it doesn't have to be printed, try not to. But if you do have to, at least try to print double-sided so you use less of it. The second biggest thing is to avoid single-use products. So have your employees bring their own reusable cups. We use it in our office. We all use our own silverware and our own mugs, and it's awesome. And then another thing that y'all can do is to donate your unwanted office supplies or things that you don't use anymore to places such as the Wellman Project. Or there's reused materials. There's a bunch of different places. You can donate them to Goodwill. Any of those will work. And then the last thing that you could do is to have a HR process. So if you want to order cardstock, just make sure that no other department in your office has some that you could use instead of ordering some. And then the last thing would be to just make it a part of your brand. So just make yourself a green business and make it fun for your employees. You don't have to make it more work for them, but if you give them incentives, make a fun challenge out of it, which we'll be talking about later, like Recaro did. They actually won our environmental award for innovation last year. They wanted to bring green practices into their business. So they had a mugshot challenge with their employees, and every employee had to bring their own mug, take a picture with it, and they were entered into a contest to win a prize. By doing that, they actually got rid of 330 pounds of styrofoam and saved over $1,000 throughout the year because they didn't have to buy styrofoam mugs for their employees anymore. The other cool thing they did was to replace all their fluorescent light bulbs with LED lights, and which ended up saving them $10,000 a month, which is a pretty big amount for any business. The next example over here is Mrs. Renfro Salsa. They are a Fort Worth-based business. They have a factory in pretty close to downtown. So for them, they couldn't really afford to have a full recycling operation, so they picked one material that they had a lot of, and they decided to recycle that only, which was corrugated cardboard. So they recycle all of their corrugated cardboard, but the other big material that they used a lot of was aluminum cans. So they decided that instead of recycling it in the traditional way, they collect all of their aluminum cans and then they give them to their employees to raise money for employee incentives. Then with their big plastic drums that you can see in a picture down there, all of those plastic drums, they give them back to the providers, and they get a credit on their bills for the next supply that they get. And then same with their metal drums. They sell all of their big 55-gallon metal drums as well. The Botanic Gardens did something very similar, actually. They wanted to raise money to have a composting service at their employee lunch last year. So they decided to collect all of they did a can drive, and they only collected cans. They sold 420 pounds of aluminum, and they were able to build these pretty trash cans that they have on the side here. They built all of them, and then they used the leftover money to have composting services for their employee lunch. Okay, the next thing I thought was really cool. So Repurpose Materials has a workshop in Dallas as well. What they do is they buy, they go to big industries, they take their materials that no longer have any use in their initial purpose, and they kind of give them a second life. So like they took these bowling alley lanes and they converted them into tables and chairs, which was really cool. They also, one of their biggest things that they collect is fire hoses from fire departments, and they say that you can make like a multitude of things with them. So basically, all these big industries will donate their materials to repurpose, and then you can go and shop there and look around, see what you can get, and then use that material to make something else. Okay, and then here is Recaro. They won every year we have environmental awards. The applications are actually open now if you wanted to apply for them, and there's a bunch of different categories that you could apply for. But Recaro won the award for innovation last year for their mugshot challenge. And they, like I told you before, they reduced a whole bunch of styrofoam from their waste stream. And they made it fun for their employees as well, which was why they won the innovation award. Okay, and that was it for me. If anybody has any questions, we can always answer them at the end as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. It doesn't look like we have any questions right now. Feel free to type them in. So basically, what Michelle was just going over is Fort Worth's most creative ideas for different ways of repurposing that aren't necessarily as obvious. It's not about just contracting recycling services. It's about actually looking at your waste, seeing what you're throwing away, and seeing if there's any opportunity there for money for repurposing or to put it back into the circular economy. Thank you, Michelle. Excellent.
Thank you.
We will now turn it over to David Simmons, our third material management planner. As you heard earlier, David has been in the business a long time. We benefit greatly from his logistic expertise, and he's going to be talking about how you can make recycling work for you. Take it away, David.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. Great job, Michelle, as well. So let's take a look. First of all, why is green good for business? It is extremely important. We just saw a recent survey by IBM, the National Retail Federation, that shows that 70% of consumers in North America think it's important that a brand is sustainable or eco-friendly. We also see that 73% of millennials and 66% of global consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable goods. And we see that here in Fort Worth as we talk to businesses, and we begin to see that there are people who are willing to pay more. They want to see a sustainable brand, and they're willing to pay more for it. So that is an important question to think about as you lay the plan and lay the foundation for your recycling or your sustainable program. There are a series of questions that you will want to ask yourself when laying out this program. We just looked at why, because it is important to your brand. It is important to your customers, and it's also important to your employees. We've seen a lot of our businesses that we help got their start because the employees said, hey, we really want to recycle. We want to be at a place that has a sustainability program that is green and that has green practices. So it is important for you to have these programs, and we want to help you with that. The next question you want to ask is, what kind of items are we going to be recycling? There's so many different kinds, and people get really excited when they first start sometimes, and they say, we just want to recycle everything. And then when they find out that maybe they can't recycle everything, they kind of give up. And so I want to encourage you not to do that. As you lay out your plan, take a look at what you can recycle. There are companies and businesses that have gone through and said, well, we can't recycle this, but we can recycle that. And you start where you can. And once you start where you can, then as the future comes and as you get more budget or whatever it is that you were needing, then you can add more and more things to your sustainability plan. And part of that is the when you are going to do this plan, because budgeting is a big issue when it comes to recycling, when it comes to sustainability, waste hauler contracts, custodial contracts. All of those are important questions that you need to ask yourself as you lay out this plan. One way that we helped a company, I remember they were wanting to add just a mixed recycling dumpster, and they were looking at it and it was going to cost them a little bit. So they called us and we went in and we took a look, and we found out that actually they had a big 8-yard recycling dumpster that was being emptied 5 times a week. So pretty much every weekday it was being emptied. We did an assessment and we found that that was actually way more than they needed. 3 times a week was more than enough for the trash that they had. So we were able to work with them, work with their waste hauler, and they were able to add this recycling dumpster. Basically, there was no cost because they were able to reduce the amount of collection for the trash and add that recycling service, and it became a no cost, zero cost for them. So there's all kinds of things you can look at, especially custodial contracts as well. It's important to keep an eye with them. So let's go on to the material management team. We are here to help. If you have any questions, if you get bogged down in any of this, we want to help you with that. We're a free service that the city of Fort Worth provides. We work directly with you to help you reduce and responsibly manage your waste. We can perform waste assessments. We can help train staff, develop a personalized waste diversion plan. We're even able to help with external marketing and internal promotion. And we also provide desk side recycling bins for qualifying facilities. It's really, really easy to enroll. Just email us at mmp@fortworthtexas.gov and we will be glad to help you with anything that we can. So next, let's take a look at a couple of examples of a couple of businesses that we've worked with, that we've helped. One of them is United Way of Tarrant County. So a little bit of background, they're an office environment. They're a nonprofit that provides funding and support for other local nonprofits. And they had no room for additional recycling dumpsters. So this is where we had to get, like Brittany was saying, kind of creative and outside the box thinking. So we took a look at what they were doing, and they actually had a shredding company, and they didn't know this at the time, but the shredding company was recycling all of the shredding material. All of that sensitive documentation was being shredded and recycled. So we were able to work with them to expand their collection and be able to recycle all paper that came through their facility. The employees, we were given training and a desk side recycling container. We also gave them a little Fort Worth reusable tote bag so they could take their plastics home with them, the ones that lived in Fort Worth, so they could recycle the plastics at home, recycle their paper at work. And then we set up an office supply box with Wellman. As Brittany mentioned before, this is a really cool idea where they take this box of office supplies, like I think Michelle talked about as well, where instead of ordering new office supplies, say you get a new stapler or somebody needs more paper or somebody has a bunch of extra rolls of tape like we all do in our drawer, instead of throwing it away or before you make an order, put it in the box and see if somebody else may need that. It can save you money. It can also save you waste. And then at the end of the month, if whatever hasn't been picked up, then Wellman comes in and they take it and they donate it to local schools to help teachers be able to have those for their children, for their students. Another business that we've worked with is Griner Aerospace. So their background is a little bit more industrial. They create aircraft seating, and they had a lot of odd items like leather and fabric and plastics. So we connected them. First thing we did was connected them. We did an assessment and we put them with a nonprofit to reuse their scrap leather and reduce their waste tonnage. And that actually is going to a program. You can see a little picture on there, an international program that is helping children across the world. They consolidated multiple waste service contracts into one. And they were able to actually use that weird plastic byproduct that they had, was actually able to go and help for a kiln for a cement factory. So it was actually able to help them not have to use as much coal when they could use the plastic. And it also saved them about $25K annually in waste costs, which again, they donated to this, one of their nonprofit arms. The next one is Lundquist Salon. Again, this is a background of a salon, but the owner, Catherine, had some very interesting items as well. She had gloves, hair dye and tubes, and actual human hair. And these are all things that traditional recycling would say there is absolutely nothing that you could do with. But she began researching it. She wanted to be a green business. She wanted to have a really strong sustainability program. So she connected with Green Circle Salons. And what she did was she actually started calculating the exact amount of material that she would need per customer. She even got to the point where she was weighing how much hair dye she was going to need as each client came in. And this was able to save her about $1,200 a month and allowed her to contract with Green Circle to be actually 100% zero waste. That was pretty awesome. She also did some things like eliminating styrofoam from the service, the waiting area, and did reusable mugs and coffee stir sticks as well. So this is a really great program that she was able to do. So we want to promote you. If you have a green business, we want to promote what you're doing. The first thing that we have is Business Smart, which is an advanced recognition program that the material management program offers with bronze, silver, gold levels. We are open. We are accepting applications year round. This is the website. It's very simple. It has all the information about it. And you can click in there, fill out the application, and get certified, get a sticker. We want to recognize people. We want to recognize businesses that have these programs. And as you can see, there are the different levels there: bronze, silver, gold. There's different bonus and benefits for each level. So we really encourage you to join that. Another thing that we have is our Green Business Spotlight through Keep Fort Worth Beautiful Facebook. Every Wednesday, we spotlight a green business of the week and just give them a little bit of, a little bit of love and promotion and show them that we do appreciate what they're doing. And then that also leads to the Keep Fort Worth Beautiful newsletter. Once a month, the Green Business Spotlight goes to the subscribers in the newsletter, and that goes to about 4,000 of our subscribers. And so that's another way that we can promote all these things that you're doing as a green and sustainable business. So to recap and summarize all that we're doing, recycling is doable for small business, even after COVID, even when you're cash strapped. It just requires a little bit of out of the box thinking, and it can help you to reduce waste, cut costs, and grow your base. And we're here to help. We want to do anything that we can to help you in this program. And with that, do we have any questions?
Doesn't look like it at the moment, David. I think that you explained everything so perfectly and completely that no one has any questions.
Well, thank you, Brittany. Then I will turn it back to you.
Thanks so much, David. I'm hoping that so far all of these partnerships and suggestions and examples are making a lot of sense to everyone, and that everyone also has the takeaway that at any point in time, you can email any of us. We are going to make these slides available. The recording of this webinar is going to be available through YouTube very soon. So if at any point in time you want to get in touch with any of us or come back or have questions, even a year from now, we absolutely would encourage you. We are a resource from the city for the city. And we're here to help you, not just to push recycling or to push green initiatives, but to really help you understand how you can reduce waste in the sense of reducing expenditure. I'm here today to talk about creating food waste partnerships. And I love talking about these because food waste is a difficult waste. It's a huge amount of what's going into our landfill. And it also involves getting kind of creative when you're trying to pull it out of your waste stream. So we have in front of us almond meal and wood chips. You may ask, what do those have in common? Almond meal is a little anecdote. I cannot give you the business name, but very cool story. Earlier this year, pre-COVID, I was at a networking event and was put in touch with a small business owner for Fort Worth that was producing a lot of almond meal waste when they were making almond milk. And they were hoping to engage in composting, decided that it didn't really fit in the budget. They were coming to me to look for a community composting option. And I had just recently toured Goodwill's factory, where Goodwill Fort Worth is about to start producing soaps. And it occurred to me that that might be a better pairing. They were able to find a soap maker that wanted to purchase local items, especially things like spent ground almond meal, or there was someone that she could even donate it to. She loved the idea, took it, and is now making her own soaps with that almond meal. So for her, that was a huge win, and she's now created a second product, which is a lot of added value. The wood chips, I wanted to talk about Chip Drop. You may have heard of it or seen advertisements for it on Facebook. It's a national program. It was, I believe, started in Washington in 2012. All it is an app service that a young gentleman invented after about 2 years of delivering wood chips that simply lets you sign up as a homeowner or as a business that wants wood chips delivered for free. And arborists who pay a nominal fee for access to this list can then come drop wood chips off at your location. They're free, so they're not organized by color, and it's not sifted or as clean or as pretty as wood chips that you would purchase from, say, Callaway's or Silver Creek Materials, but it's free. And it's taking a waste that might sometimes end up in the landfill, especially if the hauler isn't close enough to a composting facility, and literally putting value back into the community for it. So on that note, I would also say, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to make new partnerships or seek out new partnerships. If there's something, as we saw with repurposed materials, that you're getting rid of, like fire hoses, that is still a material that there is completely potentially a purpose for. Huge vinyl banners, farmers in the area have been using them to cover hay shipments because they're actually more durable and way more inexpensive than hay tarps. And so this is something that where the resource continues to have value in our economy, continues to have value in our community, and contributes instead of literally taking up space in the landfill. So I also have some examples for us. One of them is Avoca Coffee Roasters and the Master Composters of the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. The Compost Outpost volunteers have been picking up coffee. It did get forestalled a little bit due to COVID, but they're back on site and they will be ramping back up soon. So these numbers are from their height. 200 pounds per week of spent coffee grounds, which was lowering the amount of waste that Avoca was having to get rid of, and which also was helping create over $1,000 worth of compost a year for the backyard vegetable garden, which in turn goes to educate people and benefits the Tarrant Area Food Bank. So that's a circle that just keeps on going, which is a really great story and the kind of stuff that we absolutely love to hear. Also, Omni Fort Worth and Near Southside Inc. Again, this is another pilot that got stalled out due to COVID, but we do hope it will pick back up. I want to commend not only Near Southside for their 2020 Shindig. They decided to throw a zero waste event, which was very cool. And we love when our industry leaders, partners, and NGOs take that kind of initiative and really demonstrate how easy and simple it can be. So Omni staff also deserves huge commendation because they managed to divert more than 345 pounds of food scraps from the gala event with zero contamination, which is huge, and also proves how simple it can be to separate plate scrapings out of the waste stream, because if you're just putting it in a container, you can put it in a different container. And they did an excellent job, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to further explore with Omni how we can divert even more of their food waste, and it will eventually offset their trash bill, which is our idea for basically everyone in Fort Worth that is currently paying to throw away food. Food is an amazing resource that can be put back into compost. This is also examples of adding brand value. These are all businesses right here in Fort Worth that are either composting with Cowboy Compost or doing a community composting project with us in the city of Fort Worth, but they have taken some of our marketing materials to display that they're composting and to add value to their customers so that when the customer rolls through the drive-through at Starbucks or walks in at Ampersand, they know that these grounds are going to either a school community garden or a community garden, or the Tarrant Area Food Bank Learning Garden, or a member of a small urban ag project in the area that is going back into producing food. So thank you to Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Ampersand, Buongiorno, Spiral Diner and Bakery for making that effort and taking that step, because it's very cool. And we appreciate you. A note on Grow Southeast. This is our main partner along with Tarrant Area Food Bank and the Tarrant County Food Policy Council for community diversion. Grow Southeast is a collective of small urban ag projects in the southeast of Fort Worth. They're targeting and tackling food insecurity, especially in one of our most underserviced and under-resourced neighborhood areas. The flagship of Grow Southeast is Opal's Farm, and that's Miss Opal Lee, who is an icon in Fort Worth, and you should Google her if you don't know anything about her. But this man right here next to Mayor Betsy Price is the farm manager, Gregory Joel, and he has been collecting food scraps from over 7 locations. Again, he's also had to cut back due to COVID, but will be ramping up shortly, composting hundreds of pounds of food scrap and coffee grounds, and then turning around and turning that into food that he sells either in the community at Cowtown Farmers Market, which Cowtown Farmers Market also has a really cool SNAP benefits program. So if you have an EBT card or you participate in SNAP, you can actually get double bucks, which means that your money goes further to buying fresh food at Cowtown Farmers Market. And he was also engaged with Sur La Table over on the west side of Fort Worth. They were creating a class where they were going to use some of the food from the farm, and then the food scraps go back again to feed the farm. So very cool projects, lots of really, really great initiatives that give me great hope for the future of Fort Worth. And community composting or paying for composting services is another way that you can actually win awards. This is the Culinary School of Fort Worth, which was this year's winner of Keep Texas Beautiful Outstanding Program Award. Keep Texas Beautiful has a whole roster of awards, and especially if you are a member of MMP and you're engaged in composting, recycling, any program that puts forth the tenets of Keep Texas Beautiful or Keep America Beautiful, includes litter cleanups as well. You can, through us, be eligible for these kinds of awards. And huge shout out to both the Learning Garden and the Culinary School of Fort Worth for converting over 5,000 gallons of food waste into usable compost and delicious, rich soil. It's very cool. So we have come to the end, and I see that we have some questions here. So I will check them out currently. Oh, thank you very much, Lola, for the comment that this was an excellent presentation. We really appreciate all of our participants and viewers. And this one coming in, not a question, but a comment. I didn't know the city had a team who offered all these services for free of charge. Great. We're so glad to help educate people on that. Our team also runs the residential composting program, and we have a team member who's missing here. She's our marketing analyst, Flavia Paulino, but she is the coordinator for that program. And she and all of us together have helped grow that program pretty huge as well. So we're not just here for businesses, we're here also for residents. And if you are a resident and a business owner in Fort Worth, we're here for you twice. Also, question, once you contact our team, how long does it take until you can get your company's waste assessed? And how do we see the recommendations? And do we also help implement the suggestions? Yes, we will be with you as much as you want us, basically. After you contact us, it takes as few as 2 weeks. Right now, due to COVID, it's going to kind of depend on what is best practice for your business, depending on if you're a retail restaurant or a larger, manufacturing. But absolutely, we do technically have territories, but we don't mind helping each other out and crossing into territories. So if you email us or get with us, absolutely one of us will be there to help you out. And I'm going to actually go back to the slide that has our email on it, which was over here on the bottom left. That's mmp@fortworthtexas.gov. It's short for Material Management Program. And that is how you get a hold of all of us. How do you receive the recommendations? Usually we talk them out with you in person. We email you also a summary of the visit, and typically it has some pictures and some breakdowns. And then once you go from there, we give our suggestions. You tell us which of the suggestions you'd actually like to take or participate in, or if they don't work, if there needs to be any kind of changes. And we go back and we meet a couple of more times. Sometimes it can take up to 9 months if you have like a really crazy extensive system that we need to help you kind of rein in and figure out. Sometimes it's as simple as a week. If you are ready to go, if you know what you need, or if you have a kind of an easy waste that we've worked with before, absolutely, we can just plug you in.
And also, Brittany, if you're already have sustainable practices, then you can also email us to enroll and find out how you can get promoted. It's like the Green Spotlight or other ways that we can promote you as you become a part of the program.
Yes, thank you, David, for that note. Excellent way to point that out. Yeah, if you're a small business that out here in Fort Worth, or a big business, and you're already participating in sustainable practices, we want to recognize you. We want to enroll you in our tracking program. It also helps us as a city to understand how waste is happening in the city and understand what materials are being kept out of the landfill and how much, so that we can also take advantage of those stream circular processes that are already happening, because we do want to optimize them. We do want to make the best of everything. I'm going to let Michelle read the next questions.
All right. I think you would answer this question properly, Brittany. It says, if we decide to divert food waste in our business, does your team also provide containers for that organic waste?
Yes, we do have some limited containers. It depends on your situation, and it depends on what kind of diversion you're going to do. If you're going to divert to a community composting, we tend to be able to give more containers for that, and such as like the 5-gallon buckets, because that is a community effort. It's being supported by volunteers. It's usually benefiting a nonprofit. And so that's something that's a little bit easier for us to help out with. If you're a business, we do have larger containers that we can help with, because that makes a lot more sense for the kind of restaurant collection style typically that you're going for. And also, if you contract, the main hauler in Fort Worth is Cowboy Compost, and they will containers that you use with their service free of charge.
All right, and then David, what are the requirements to get recycling container assistance?
That's a great question, and it's actually a very simple answer. You just need to have recycling. We need to have a place for it to go. If we give you, say, a desk side recycling bin and you're going to use it for your office, that has to have a place to go. So you just need to have something in the works with a recycling hauler, or like the one company that was using their shredding company. As long as you have a place for that recycling, a place for it to go, then we can help you and give you some desk side containers or other containers.
Awesome. And I think that's all the questions that we have for now.
Thank you, everyone, for your excellent questions. While we have a few minutes left, I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to click this link and show you guys the amazing page full of COVID-19 resources that the city of Fort Worth has going. So there's a lot of banner links, information about the CARES Fund, the most current and recent declaration, some general, more quick and easy to understand verbiage about the declarations, business resources, community resources, city services, if you want to volunteer, if you're interested in testing or prevention, and then just, of course, frequently asked questions, and then any additional news that has been related to COVID that has gone through the city distribution system, which, as you can see, is quite a bit. There's also Preserve the Fort small business grants, which just opened, and applications are open right now. You can go ahead and apply. I encourage everyone that is a small business in Fort Worth to check it out, because basically everyone has been affected, and we understand this. Applications close at Monday, June 8th. And there's a lot more on Monday, June 8th, excuse me. There's a lot more information about it as well. Some quick eligibility terms, funding information, pretty much everything that you need to know. That's one of those great things. Another really cool resource that I want to direct you guys to is the Wellman Project, which we talked about earlier. They also were on hold due to COVID, but they are able to accept donations again by appointment right now, which they have that notice on the top here. The Wellman Project is a really cool local nonprofit that is unique to Fort Worth and unique to Texas, where they take unwanted office materials, art supplies, sometimes even old technology when they have the ability to take it, and make their warehouse open and available to teachers, Fort Worth and beyond, though it is obviously easier for them to service Fort Worth teachers. And their tagline is "Fill a classroom, not a landfill," which is really excellent. But it's another one of those options where, like, with repurposed waste, or excuse me, with repurposed materials, if you have a weird waste that you're considering paying someone, a trash service, to come pick up from you, you can find a different way to get rid of that and find a better way to get rid of it. Also, I think we forgot to mention, if you're enrolled with MMP as part of the material management program, you can get a certificate each year from us, verifying how much waste you've diverted from the landfill. And that's something that we really enjoy giving out, that we want people to feel proud of, because again, we understand sometimes this is extra effort. Sometimes it saves you money, but it's almost always a little bit of extra effort. And even when it saves a lot of money, it's very nice to get recognized for that effort by the city. I don't think we have any new questions in, do we?
No, those were all the questions.
Nope. Well, it looks like, Katie, without any more questions, and I don't think we have any missing topics, we can go ahead and wrap up early.
Okay. I just wanted to do a plug for the library. I assume we are talking to mostly adults, hopefully all adults. If we got some kiddos, that's great too. But if you have more stuff that you would like to see from the library, we love working with code. We work with a lot of other city departments as well. Feel free to email us at lib_adultservices@fortworthtexas.gov, and I'm going to post that in the chat. Basically, my department, we handle all adult programming for every library in Fort Worth. So doesn't matter if it's virtual. Hopefully, if it's in person, we can bring that on later in the year. But if you have anything else you'd like to see from us, we would love to bring that out to you. This presentation is being recorded, so we will send the file over to code, and then we'll hopefully have it posted on our YouTube page coming up pretty soon. So if you'd like to rewatch it, feel free to do so. And without any further questions, we will go ahead and wrap up.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait, we have a raised hand real quick.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
Okay, you've raised your hand. Have you asked a question? Nope, just raising hands. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me know.
Everybody.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch y'all next time. Have a great day.
You too. Have a great day, everybody.